shameless plug for my book. So here's 300 pages available on Amazon about contracts and all the things that we talked about today, plus a lot more. So you can read about the book and see the video introduction at chinasourcinginfo.org.book. Before we go to question and answer, I'd like to remind you to take away just 3 things. If at the end of this hour of me babbling on up here, you only remember 3 things, please remember the following. 1, take the time to find the right supplier. If at the end of the trade show you're kind of saying, you know, I hope that supplier is a good fit for me, I'm not sure, but I'm going to gamble, I hope it works out, that's really dangerous. You want to walk away saying, you know, I asked the right questions, the contracts look good, they're willing to have third-party quality control come in, I feel good. You know, if you feel warm and fuzzy when you're leaving, that's great. So find the right supplier. If you don't feel warm and fuzzy, you know, extend your trip a little bit. Go visit a few more factories. Work the phones a little bit more. Set up a few more meetings. Get some more RFQs. Don't force yourself to do business with the first company that you think might be right. You know, do your homework. And there's nothing wrong with coming to China and realizing, hey, I'm not quite prepared. I don't have the budget to troubleshoot this thing if anything goes wrong. I haven't found the right supplier. I'm not sure even if I can confirm that my product is safe for my market. I'm just going to buy it from a domestic supplier until my business gets bigger and I'm ready to go China direct. There's nothing wrong with walking out of here and being safe and saying, you know what, I'll come back next year when I'm better prepared. So don't rush into something, because if you can't do it right, meaning audits, inspections, you know, these are hundreds, not thousands of dollars. But if you're not in that position yet, you know, hold off on China. China is all about volume, as you've already found out. I talked about it yesterday, and I didn't have a chance to go into depth today, but one of the easiest ways to avoid scams and avoid having no leverage if something is to go wrong with your supplier, the best way to avoid all that is to make sure that the Chinese name on the bank account is the same as the Chinese name on the contracts you sign, is ideally the same as the Chinese name on the address of the seller. If those things all match, it's a legitimate company. It's not 2 guys in a warehouse as a scam. More importantly, if something goes wrong, the contract is broken, you can go to the lawyers and say, hey, let's issue a demand letter. Let's go after compensation. This supplier broke the contract, and it caused me, it caused me a lot of pain. Because the first thing the lawyer will say to you is, show me your contract. Then the second thing they will say is, show me proof of payment. And if those 2 don't match, then the supplier is going to say, sure, you signed a contract with us, but you paid some other company. And you're going to say, well, the other company was that trading company you told me to use. Well, if there's no document linking the 2, good luck suing 2 different companies and trying to get compensation. So, long story short, make sure the bank account, contract, and address all have the same information in Chinese. Now, I'd like to open up to question and answer. Please make me look good and have a couple of questions. And just for your reference, here are the blog posts that I write, and Supplier Blacklist is a website that I visit just about every day, where if you have, the way they phrase it is, if you have a good supplier, hold that tight to your chest, but if a supplier does you wrong, please list it on this website so that other buyers can avoid that supplier. Also, we're down at booth 101135. My throat's giving out, but I'd be happy to answer some questions. Thanks for your time today, and we have the microphone.
Hi Mike, thanks again for a fantastic hour of power-packed information.
It went fast.
Dorothy from Australia. You've mentioned a few times using a lawyer and having a bilingual contract. Not quite sure exactly where we should go to get a list of good lawyers to approach.
Well, being biased, I'm on the board of advisors with a law firm, and I'd be happy to introduce the firm that I'm associated with. But having said that, nowadays you could go online to Google and type the city where you want to do business with English-speaking lawyer in English, and you will find a few. Just like qualifying suppliers, you need to ask for references, double check that they really exist and are going to be around for a while. So you almost have to do due diligence on the people that are helping you with due diligence. But when it comes to lawyers, also you can go to your go to the embassy. All the embassies have a list of lawyers that they're not verified by the embassy, but they have at least done some work for other people in your situation. So ask people that have lawyers, do a little research online, and then check with your embassy and you'll come up with more than you'll possibly imagine.
And we can check psschina.com.
This one would be at the Sourcing Service Center, is where I keep the list.
Thank you.
Well, Mike, are there certain areas or industries that are a little better to work with than others, a little more dependable than others, or some?
Yes. Within fashion or general? General. Chemicals have the highest percentage of kind of scams and conflict between the buyer and seller. We talked about scams yesterday, and we also mentioned that high-value products that fit into a small box, those have a lot of problems because the seller can get a lot of money out of the buyer before any problem is discovered. If you're buying a bunch of earrings, and it's only 100 of them, but each one is worth $50, a lot can fit into a FedEx box, and that FedEx box travels through customs out of China and into America. The customs officials don't have time to really open it up and see, hey, are there really earrings in here? So what happens is you might get sent some junk, a box of gravel shows up, but you've already made the payment. So, scams are prevalent in chemicals and in products where things are too good to be true. Like you think you're getting a Gucci bag, but it's maybe it's made in China, but it's not authentic. It's counterfeit. So buying Western brand names in China is extremely dangerous. High-value products that fit into a small container are also dangerous. Now, in terms of there's which products are easy. I don't know. I guess I would say a product that is off the shelf, because as soon as you start tweaking things and customizing it, now you're asking the supplier to do something that maybe they haven't done before. So it's always easier to buy a product where the supplier has a clear track record and has made it over and over again. It's not a guarantee, but it's easier. So the harder projects are the ones where you have to train the factory on what your expectations are. We can get it done, but it takes a lot more hand-holding.
Thank you, Mike. Where can I find resources on how to register a product in China and with ports?
Yeah. With the ports, I've always had the, so within my team, I have a logistics officer who worked at the ports in the past. So I went down to the ports and said, hey, I need to have somebody that's familiar with this port. So I've always had him handle it for me, internal stuff. But I think you could talk to a third-party logistics company in China. If you engage a sourcing agent or if you engage a lawyer to register that brand, they should at least get you pointed in the right direction. Also, the problem with China is it's going to vary from not only from province to province, but from port to port within a province. So you'll probably want to first find out where your factory is, and you make sure that the legitimate factory is not going to have a problem when it's shipping out. Then you might want to say, all right, where is a higher likelihood of counterfeiting going to take place? And that's usually, no offense, but Zhejiang and up Greater Shanghai kind of is a hub for counterfeits in certain industries. So you might want to register there as well. I wish it was as easy as just picking up a hotline in Beijing and having your brand protected at all ports, whether it's the airport, sea, or train. But we do have to work a little bit. The good news is once you get on that list, they actually respect it.
So thank you, Mike.
Can I ask one thing? I can say, do you have to register in both the government and the port?
These are two separate organizations. Yes. So you need to show the port that you have proof that you're the brand owner.
Okay.
So it's an AB 1-2 step. Well, I wish you all luck, and if you would like the slides and things, just leave your card at the end. Also, I'll stick around, and our booth for the rest of the show is down in Hall 10. Good luck on your sourcing.
Thank you.